Did you like Japan better or Hawaii?
I would say like my personality wise, it's America's more suited. Because like, you know, in Japan growing up as a kid, like I would step outside and then all the other kids, like neighborhood kids, would just stop and like look at me like that, and like they would point at me saying, "Oh my God, look, there's a foreigner," you know. So like,
wow,
yeah. So that was pretty much my entire childhood, you know.
Damn. Wherever you guys are watching this show, I would truly appreciate it if you follow or subscribe. It helps a lot with the algorithm. It helps us get bigger and better guests, and it helps us grow the team. Truly means a lot. Thank you guys for supporting, and here's the episode. All right, guys, Digital Social Hour, we are back. Sean Dollwet in the building, digital nomad, making a living selling audiobooks and books online, right?
Yeah, just books in general, so like ebooks, paperbacks, audiobooks.
Nice.
Yeah.
And how'd you get into that?
Well, the story is I got recruited into a multi-level marketing company at age 18, and that's when I learned like the concept of passive income and all that. But I sucked at MLM. You know, English is my second language, so I failed for like 4 years straight. And one day after work, I came back, looked up on YouTube like how to make money online, found a video by this guy saying Kindle publishing or like self-publishing as the easiest beginner-friendly business model. So I'm like, okay, I'll try it out, and published one book, did really well. So I'm like, that's crazy. You know,
you wrote it?
I wrote a super short book on mindfulness. And after that, I kind of used ghostwriters to outsource the process. But so I published a second book, third book, and I just kind of stacked, like started doing that and kept doing it consistently for like years.
Wow. Yeah. So how many have you published now?
Overall, I published like hundreds of books.
Damn.
Yeah, I think
that's
more
insane.
than 200 or so.
And it's all under your name?
No, so I have a few books under my name.
Okay.
Kind of regret it because like the books aren't that good. So like I don't have good reviews, and like people look me up saying like, "Oh, your books aren't even selling." But I try to build my brand using like ghostwritten books and try to funnel into like, you know, back-end offers like affiliate marketing, and that didn't work out. But most books that I have is under a pen name.
Got it.
Yeah.
So walk me through how long it takes to make. I know you're using AI to write some of them. You're using ghostwriters. What's the process like?
Yeah, so it really depends on what kind of books you make. You know, like if you're trying to make journals and planners, those books are super easy. There are templates out there. You just customize the templates and you can get it out in like hours or a couple days, right? For me, I kind of focused on nonfiction books. So nonfiction books, like obviously if you write yourself, it depends on how fast you write. But if you work with ghostwriters, then, you know, typically like a full-length nonfiction book of 150 to 200 pages, it takes about a month for you to write the ghostwriter to write, and then for you to review it. Then you get a book cover done. That's like max 1 week or so. And then you just format it, you upload it to KDP, and then they review it. It takes like 72 hours. And then it'll be live on Amazon.
So what is KDP?
KDP is just Amazon's platform where you can sign up and upload your book and then, you know, publish it.
Got it.
Yeah.
So you're taking like the mass approach rather than Hormozy just taking years to write one book at a time. You're kind of going wide.
Like if you want to succeed in this business, you need a balance of, you know, quantity, but also a high quality book. You don't want to just spam low quality books. So, you know, yes, I have hundreds of books. It's probably a mistake because like the first couple of years of doing this, I was kind of spinning my wheels, right? Like I was publishing a bunch of books, and then, you know, my older books eventually gets bad reviews, dies off, and then I'm publishing a new one to keep maintaining my income. And when I shifted my focus to like, you know, producing high quality books that actually got 4 or 5-star reviews, it never died off, and that's when my income kind of stacked more and more and more. So that's definitely the focus you want to take, but I would say you don't have to take like years writing one book.
Right.
You know, it's a balance.
Yeah, and you're selling all of these on Amazon?
Yeah, all on Amazon. Amazon dominates the book market, so like 70% of all book sales are coming from Amazon.
Damn.
Yeah, but there are other, like obviously the 30% outside of Amazon, so you can upload your book to other places like, you know, Apple, Barnes & Noble, Google Play, those kind of things too.
RIP Barnes & Nobles, man. I got some good childhood memories there.
Yeah.
I like Barnes & Nobles, but whenever I walk in there these days, it's a ghost town.
Yeah, it's completely different. I mean, I love bookstores. I read a lot of books. I think that helped me to build this business too, because like, even though English is my second language, so, you know, I'm not a great writer, but at least I read a lot of books growing up. So like when I got the book back from the ghostwriter, I was able to tell what is a good book, what's not a good book. You know what I mean? Like I kind of had a good idea of how to structure a book and what people are looking for. So.
Which books stand out to you in terms of just changing your perspective on life?
For me, I mean, when I was 18, I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and that really, really, really helped. Like I understood, you know, like you don't have to trade your time with money, right? Like you can build passive income systems and make money while you sleep. And so I'm like, that's cool. I want that. And since then, I've been trying to build that as much as I can. Yes, I would say Rich Dad Poor Dad. I mean, recently, like $100 million offers.
Classic,
like super
dude.
good.
I read that like 3-4 times.
Yeah, yes. Alex Hormozi was amazing. So I would say those books.
Yeah. I will say Leads was decent, but I feel like Offers was way better.
Yeah. It really, really changed my paradigm and like how I approach business.
Yeah. And that book was so great because you could just implement that information immediately.
Yeah.
I feel like some books are so like, I don't know, more of like a, I don't know how to describe it. You know what I mean? It's not tactical.
It's really niche, you know, but like that book you can kind of apply into any business, like even in KDP, like how we position. It's basically just positioning, right? So like how we position the book makes a huge difference in like perceived value and like how much you can sell it, you know. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
What percentage of your sales are audiobooks versus physical?
So for us with nonfiction, generally it's like on average ebooks are, I would say like 20%, 10-20%. And audiobooks maybe 30% or so, and then the rest, so that's like what, like 60% or so would be paperbacks. But it really depends. Like if you start publishing, you know, cookbooks, like no one's gonna listen to an audiobook of a recipe or those kind of things.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So most of your sales are gonna be from paperbacks. So it really, really depends. Yeah.
Wow, I thought it'd be the opposite. So I'm an audiobook guy.
Yeah, audiobook is picking up. Like it's trending high.
Got it.
It's crazy. So like, you know, there's studies out there where they're projecting audiobooks, the market for audiobooks to triple in size by like 2030, right? So I can see audiobooks taken over completely, but for now it's so new. And it's just like people are still buying paperbacks.
Yeah.
But I would say in the future, it's going to be like ebooks and audiobooks.
I agree. Because I feel like with audiobooks, you can learn quicker.
Yeah.
I do 2x speed. I know our friend Zach Fisher knows someone that does 4x speed.
That's
so
crazy.
I feel like you could just learn pretty fast. Because when you're reading, it's kind of capped. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't read at 2x. I mean, some people read fast, but.
Yeah, 4x is crazy, man. I don't know how they do it. I think for me, it's like 2.5x.
That's the most I've done. Certain podcasts, I could do like 2.6 if it's a slower talker. But then if it's someone fast, 2.5 is very fast on a podcast.
Yeah, you're right. It depends on the reader's speed or the narrator's speed too, right? If he's naturally a fast talker, like 2x is even too much sometimes.
Yeah. But with Rogan, I mean, those are 4 hours. So it's kind of hard to listen to that on 1x and not get bored.
Yeah.
Attention spans these days. And that's what surprised me about the book industry still being pretty solid. People's attention spans are 3 seconds now.
Yeah.
But books are still doing pretty well. I thought they'd die off.
Yeah, there's definitely a market for it. You know, it's definitely an older demographic, I would say. But yeah, like audiobooks, it's picking up. So, you know, maybe like paperbacks in the future, it's going to slow down, but I would say ebooks and audiobooks, it's going to keep growing. And I think there's a little shift in the market, like, you know, even younger generations, like people are getting into more self-development and, you know, like reading books, like everybody says it's one of the best things, right? So like people are kind of coming back to like reading more books.
Yeah,
so,
that's cool to see because I feel like it got lost during our generation a bit.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, when I was in school, I hated reading.
Yeah.
But I didn't know it was because they were giving us books we didn't care about. If they gave us business books or like self-development books, maybe we would have liked reading in school.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, I read a lot of like sci-fi books on like evolution and stuff growing up. And then when I started like entrepreneurship, I read a lot of business books and like just self-help in general. So yeah, it's like really like if you enjoy reading those kind of topics, books are great.
Absolutely. So you're kind of going against the traditional publishing route where you sign with a company, they give you an advance or they give you a percentage of sales. You're doing it all on your own.
Yeah. Self-publishing is so much faster. Like you have way more control. And obviously you don't have to sign away the rights to the book and you don't have to give away like 90% of the royalties to the publishing company. I mean, you know, the thing is we got a lot of students that sign with publishing companies, right? And had their books published. And like, it's crazy because they just help with, and obviously I can't speak for all the companies, it really depends, but for the most part, like they just help with the most basic stuff like formatting and like editing and book covers. And those are something you can do yourself super easily, or just like you can hire someone very cheaply, you know, although like still high quality, and get it done yourself. You can keep 100% of the royalties, right? Like, you know, in the publishing company, they often don't even help with marketing. So you still got to market it, but you're making like 5-10%.
I didn't know they take 90%.
Yeah, it's a lot, man.
Wow.
I mean, it's not always 90%, but you know, it's a lot.
For a first timer, it's probably 80-90%. That makes sense.
Yeah. So
wow, that is insane.
Yeah. So unless you're like super famous, you know, and like they can give you a huge advance and like they can actually market the book for you, like it often doesn't make sense. It's better to just go through the self-publishing route.
They help with the distribution though, right? That's like the main sell.
Yeah, but the distribution is also easy too. Like if you want to get yourself on Amazon, Apple, Barnes and Noble, it's as simple as just uploading there.
Oh,
right?
really?
And then you just market it yourself. You know,
Wow.
just like social media marketing or whatever. Like they're not doing anything different than what you can do yourself if you understand marketing.
Mm.
Yeah.
They might go out of business with self-publishing model picking up them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a hater or anything. I think there's like, for some people it might be good for them, right? But I'm a huge believer in self-publishing. You just have more control, and just you can do things the way you want to.
Are you interested in coming on the Digital Social Hour podcast as a guest? Well, click the application link below in the description of this video. We are always looking for cool stories, cool entrepreneurs to talk to about business and life. Click the application link below, and here's the episode, guys. Yeah. What do you think about TikTok Shop? I bought a gratitude journal. I bought a meditating thing off there. Seems like pretty good deals on there.
Yeah, TikTok is just crazy now. I mean, there's a whole movement of book talk, right? And even on Instagram too, there's like Bookstagram, popping. So yeah, like before, the way we marketed the book was mainly like advertising. So like Facebook ads, Amazon ads is what I use heavily too. But I think it's kind of shifting. Like people are starting to tune out of paid ads and more organic content, and like being recommended by other people on social media, like from their peers. They trust that opinion more. So like that's why TikTok is really good, because you can hire, or you're not really hiring, but you can get a bunch of affiliates, right? Like talking about your product or your books, and then you can give them a little cut, like if people buy it from the TikTok shop. So there's this, and this might be did you buy the Shadowwork journal, or?
I believe it was that one, yeah.
Yeah. So like we kind of talked about this before, but yeah, like that book made, I believe, like 4 million in a month, like millions a month, right?
Crazy.
It's nuts. So yeah, like just utilizing the viral nature of social media, I think it's just so powerful nowadays.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. In terms of ranking on Amazon, is that based off of reviews mainly?
It's mainly reviews, as well as sales velocity. So it's just sales and reviews, right? If sales, reviews, and also keywords based ranking is good too. Like if you have like it's SEO, so like if you have a book on like how to stop overthinking, and you title the book "How to Stop Overthinking," then it's so much easier to rank for that keyword. So when people type in "How to Stop Overthinking," it will show up. If your title doesn't have that, eventually, like if you run ads to that keyword, and then people who typed in "How to Stop Overthinking" find your ad, click on it, buy it, then Amazon will make the connection. Like, oh, this book is about how to stop overthinking, even though it's not titled that way. Eventually it'll show up, but it's just so much easier if you have the SEO in the title and all that stuff. Yeah.
How do you get book ideas? I know there's extensions that tell you Amazon sells of certain products. Is that kind of what you do to see if there's a market?
Yeah. So it's as simple as just searching Amazon and seeing what kind of books are selling. Because Amazon actually tells you right on the page how well the products are selling. It's not just books. Like all products, they have this thing called the bestsellers rank.
Yeah.
So, like there's certain numbers that you kind of want to go off. Like with books, generally, if the bestsellers rank is below 80,000, it's making an average of like $500. If you include like the other formats, is with ebooks and audiobooks, it could go up to like $1,000, right? A month. So those are like a good baseline number to follow. If the bestsellers rank is a lot lower, then it's making $1,000. So yeah, like you just find other books that are selling, pretty well. And if you find multiple books on the topic selling well, that's a pattern. And then from there, you're like, okay, it's profitable, but now is it like competitive? And you kind of like start analyzing the competition. If it looks good, the next question is like, can I make a book on this? Right? Like some books are harder to make. Some are easy. Like, if it's like a trivia book, it's as simple as like writing up random trivia. You get ideas from online, or just like even use ChatGPT to come up with ideas. Obviously you have to like, rephrase it so it's your content and it's not just copy paste. But it's as simple as that. For nonfiction books, like, you got to find writers who can write that topic. Once again, you still got to create high quality books,
right?
But you don't have to know about the topic, because you can find someone who can write about the topic who's knowledgeable on it. So it's kind of how it works.
Yeah. What's the most you've seen generated off of one book?
From one book, I would say like probably the Shadowwork Journal one. I mean, I've never heard of a book, like a single one, making millions a month.
Right.
But in terms of on Amazon, the store directly, it's interesting, because there's one book called Interesting Facts for Curious Minds, and it's a trivia book, right? So it's like the easiest content to make. It's just literally just random facts, one after another, barely no images. So it's just text, right? So like anybody can write this, but it just have an amazing cover, you know?
Right.
So it stood out. They got a good marketing team behind it. So that was actually the #1 best-selling book in the entire store.
Wow.
Like it was #1 in the BSR, in the bookstore. And it was doing like 20, 30K a day
Damn.
for months. Yeah.
That's insane. Just facts.
Just facts. Yeah.
So it's all the marketing then. I want to see the cover now. Now, what goes into a good cover in your opinion?
Good cover is something that pops. It clearly like illustrates what the book is about. But like the main thing is it captures attention, right? Like, you know, because it's on Amazon when you're scrolling through, it's small thumbnail size covers. So
Right.
like you really need the colors to be popping and the text to, you know, like bam, like the book title is very clear and just got to catch people's attention. You know?
Yeah, that makes sense. I want to dive into the coaching side and how you got into that. So how many
Yeah.
years were you doing this before you got into the coaching?
So I was doing like 5 years of publishing myself, and you know, I sold my first account, and that put me over like 7 figures net worth. And then like
Wow.
I felt like I was finally qualified to like start teaching and stuff. So I was doing YouTube videos, but then I created a course and like kind of got into it.
Mhm.
So since then I've been doing YouTube for like 5 years, just teaching Amazon KDP.
Nice.
Yeah.
And YouTube's, I feel like that's one of the biggest social media assets you could have these days.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love YouTube. Definitely opened a lot of doors for me. Like this podcast, you know what I mean? If I
Right.
didn't have a YouTube channel, I wouldn't be here. For Instagram, my Instagram game is kind of weak. My TikTok game is non-existent. So I have
You're not
to
on there?
I am on there, but it's just my team like repurposing my long form
Oh, okay.
video and like cutting it up and putting it out there.
Yeah.
But Amazon KDP is so niche that it's not very viral like worthy, you know. So
Right.
I probably got to film a short, like original shorts, just for that purpose of like going viral rather than just cutting up long form. But as of now, I'm kind of just focusing on YouTube.
Yeah, it is super niche. I've never seen someone teach this or talk about it actually other than you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there are some side hustle channels like, oh, you know, make 10K publishing blank line journals. And then they talk about like, you know, uploading journals and stuff, but barely anyone talks about nonfiction, fiction books, a little more higher content books that, you know, takes a little more work to make, but often like so much more profitable.
Yeah. What are you up to this year? I know you're a digital nomad. We'll get into that. Are you traveling a lot?
Yeah. So I actually just flew in a couple days ago from Thailand. So the past 2 years I've been traveling Southeast Asia. Basically, since I make money online, you know, and I can live anywhere, I'm trying to find a home base because like I'm born and raised in Japan, moved to the US, and it's cool. Like I'm happy because we moved to Hawaii, so Hawaii is nice, right? But I wanted to see if there are other places out there and that I like. So I started traveling and saw pretty much all of Southeast Asia, a lot of good places. But now this year, I kind of want to check out Latin America, maybe
Nice.
some parts of Europe.
Nice. We'll
Yeah.
get into some of those countries. First, I want to know, was it a culture shock coming from Japan to America? Was there any specific moments you remember where you were like, wow, that's different?
Yeah. First off, I mean, I barely spoke English. You know, obviously, I'm half white. My dad's from America, so
Mhm.
like he would talk to us in English growing up. So like I was able to understand English, but I was not able to speak it.
Right.
So at least the understanding was there, so that it was a lot easier for me to pick up English compared to like my Japanese friends, you know, who didn't have that. But the culture shock, I mean, we moved to the Big Island, the Hilo side of Hawaii, which is like, you know, it's not like even the other side of the Big Island, Kona, it's more touristy, it's more developed.
Mm.
And if you go to like the Waikiki side, which is a whole new island, then there's a lot of like, you know, Japanese people and all that. But,
Got it.
like in my school, there were only like maybe like 4 other Japanese. So like,
Dang.
and I had to kind of like force myself. I played basketball, so I made a lot of basketball friends. Learn English that way. Like I was able to talk about basketball in English pretty well. But then if it was like other topic, like I couldn't say anything.
Yeah.
The biggest culture shock is just like Hawaiians. They got their like dialect called Pidgin,
Mhm.
Pidgin English, and it's like it sounds different than normal English. Like for me, I had to learn that and like understand
Oh, I didn't know
what they're
that.
saying. Yeah,
Wow. I thought they talked English over there.
they do talk English, but it's just like they got an accent or a dialect. You know,
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Did you like Japan better or Hawaii?
I would say like my personality wise, it's America's more suited.
Okay.
Because like you know in Japan growing up as a kid, like I would step outside, and then all the other kids, like neighborhood kids, would just stop and like, like look at me like that, and like they will point at me saying, "Oh my God, look, there's a foreigner," you know. So like,
Wow.
yeah, so that was pretty much my entire childhood, you know.
Damn.
So I would like I never fit in like how I look, anyways. And Japan has the whole thing of like doing what everybody else is doing, fitting in, and nowadays it's kind of changing. Like there's a lot of Western influences, but before, I mean, it was different, you know, especially because I grew up in the rural area. It wasn't like Tokyo or Osaka or anything like that. So I was like the only white kid.
Got it.
So yeah, like, you know, Japan's amazing. People are nice. The food is really good. But I would, like, personality wise, I don't see myself living and working in Japan, like especially as in a corporate setting. But yeah, US is just I like that kind of more of like, you know, the freedom kind of mindset that people have.
Yeah. Not even just Japanese people, Asians in general are super weird with other races.
Yeah.
There's videos on social media where like a black person or something will be walking through China, like a rural town, and they'll literally touch him. They'll like point at him. They'll film him. Yeah. I don't know what it is with Asians, man. They got to chill.
Yeah, they definitely, I think they're just not used to it. I mean, but nowadays it's getting normal because like Tokyo, there's a lot of tourists, you know, even Osaka. So if you turn on, and they love foreigners, right? So like that's the good thing is it's not in a bad way. Like, you know, you do get a lot of attention, but not in a bad way. They like mixed kids or mixed people in general. Like, so a lot of like if you're going there for dating, like a lot of girls, they want mixed kids, you know, so like you're a lot more attractive in their eyes. If you turn on the TVs in Japan, like half of the people that you see on any show is like mixed person, you know, like mixed black, mixed white, whatever. Right. So like, I mean, it's a good attention, but it's definitely like, you're gonna get a lot of attention.
Growing up mixed, I don't see people talking about this often, but it was an interesting experience because you get to experience both cultures. And for me, it was so different, like because my mom's from China and my dad's from like a farm.
Oh, wow.
So I got to experience both, but it's also tough. Like you were saying earlier, you got to figure out where you fit in almost.
Yeah.
So I played that game for a while, big part of my life.
Was it the same with you? Like, you know, when you go to China, like you don't necessarily look Asian, right? So like people think you're a foreigner, but then you're in the US and people think you're Asian.
All the time. Yeah.
Like,
before the facial hair, everyone thought I was just 100% Asian.
Oh, wow.
Because most Asians don't have facial hair.
Yeah.
But yeah, all the time, man. But then in school, it was tough because, like, did you chill with the Asians or did you chill with the white people?
I was chilling with the basketball players, man.
Okay.
So I would say a mix. Yeah. I didn't want to chill just with the Asians because, like, well, with other Japanese, just because, like, we didn't have much in common besides just being, you know, both being from Japan. And also, like, I have so many friends, like Japanese friends, who only hung out with other Japanese friends and they never learned English.
Wow.
Right? Because, like, even though they live in the US, they're just constantly speaking Japanese. So, like, I picked up English so much faster just hanging out with Americans or, like, other people and just speaking English.
Yeah. It's one of the probably the most useful language in the world, in my opinion.
For sure.
I think English, Spanish, and Chinese.
Yeah.
Those are probably the top three, I'd say.
Absolutely.
When you did
Spanish.
Yeah, same. When you did that 2-year Asia tour, which countries stood out to you in terms of, I might be able to live here?
Yeah, so I started with Bali, just because it was a digital nomad hotspot. I had some friends over there. So Bali was nice, especially like during time. You know, it's so quiet, so peaceful. It's absolutely amazing. And then the border opened around April, and then like people started flooding in, and obviously I'm part of, you know, the population there, right? So like I can't say like, I don't want anybody coming in. The fact is just it just got super crowded. And then it was really hard to work too, because like although Bali has a really good work setting, or Southeast Asia in general, like it's amazing the fact that you can outsource pretty much anything. Like people do the laundry for you, you know, and then they got their own version of Uber and Uber Eats, right? So you can just order food. It's often cheaper, or it's like the same price even if you cook it at home. So like, might as well just order it, right? It's like a couple bucks per meal.
That's it?
Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, Bali, if you go to the touristy area, maybe it's a little more like $5 to $10, but it's still like way, way cheaper, right? And then it's good food too. It's healthy, you know? So you just order meals every day. And then like even cleaning is included in the villas that you stay in. Wi-Fi is good, you know? So literally you can just sit down and work and do nothing else because everything else is outsourced, which is amazing. But yeah, so Bali just got too crowded after a while. Like, you know, they kicked me out of the first place because I was on a month-to-month lease.
Yeah.
Right. So then I moved to the new rental, and then I couldn't work because literally right next door they had construction happening, and every single day from 8 to 5 they're just drilling.
Damn.
You know, and I'm trying to film a YouTube video and it's just like constantly drilling, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like sitting there, and then when the drilling pauses, I'm like, all right, guys, like what's going on? I talk for like 5 seconds, and then the drilling continues, and it was just super frustrating.
Wow.
And that's just because, like, you know, Bali's so popular that they're just constantly building everywhere. So I moved out of Bali, went to Thailand, checked out Chiang Mai. I went to Bangkok, Phuket, Koh Samui, and Koh Phangan, like, you know, a bunch of different places. And then I also went to Malaysia. I did Kuala Lumpur, Penang, and then did Vietnam. So I did Da Nang.
Nice.
And I would say my favorite is Chiang Mai, Thailand.
Okay.
It's just super, super peaceful. The thing is, you know, like Bali, Phuket, Thailand, those kind of areas, like by the beach, it attracts kind of the party crowd. A lot of people go there for tourism, but also to live too. And, you know, I don't really party. I really just am looking for a peaceful place that I can just, you know, set up as a base and just work.
Right.
And I love the convenience of Southeast Asia because everything is so close. And once again, like you can order everything. So that's what I'm looking for. And Chiang Mai was kind of like that. You know, it's like a city, but it's not like Bangkok where it's hectic, it's crazy, it's super peaceful, super chill. And then you got a lot of nature, which I like. And yeah, once again, it's like, you know, there's so many cafes, restaurants, you can even walk, and everything is like legit 10 minutes away from like, you know, everything you need is 10 minutes away.
I love that.
Yeah, so it just was amazing.
Yeah, being able to walk, that's a life goal of mine. Just being able to step outside, don't need a car.
Yeah.
I want to live locally, you know what I mean? Eat locally. Who knows where the food's coming from these days? I mean, that's a whole nother topic. But you are qualified to answer this next question. So as a big foodie, which country in Asia had the best food?
That's a good question. I mean, I would say Thailand has amazing food. You know, it's like a lot of food is, the flavor is crazy in Thailand, but some people may not like it. Like I was talking to Zach the other day, but you know, he said like it's not really the flavor of the ingredient, but they cover it up so much, right? A lot of sauces and spices and this and that. So if you're cool with that, maybe that's fine. But if you kind of want more, if you want to experience the flavor of the ingredient, then it'll be more like Japan and how they cook. Right? It's more of simple kind of cooking.
That's what I heard. Yeah, with their sushi, it's more simple. There's no spicy mayo.
Very simple. I mean, the whole like California roll, dragon roll, like we don't have.
I love like, dragon rolls, man.
Yeah, I love it too. But it's not a Japanese thing.
I feel that. So you mentioned you don't party. Was that a lifelong thing? Not drinking, not partying, or did that come across later in life?
Yeah, no, never happened. I mean, I'm naturally an introvert. I don't know if the introversion started because of my upbringing of, you know, just like being super shy growing up because of like, you know, just standing out when I was small, or if it's just my personality. But I never was interested in partying in general. And then I don't drink, I don't do drugs, I don't smoke. It's just like I live a healthy life, and I don't need much to be happy. You know, I like you know, I just enjoy working and being productive. I think that gives me the highest dopamine hit. It's just like knowing that I've got a lot done at the end of the day.
Right.
And then I just want to keep doing that.
Yeah. Well, you've achieved location freedom, which is, you know, hard to do for a lot of people. You can work for wherever you want, wherever in the world. Yeah. And I think what I've noticed, at least with my friends that have achieved that, they're super happy.
Yeah, for sure. I think the key is like not to make as much money as possible, but to make enough so that you can do whatever you want. And then also like, you know, having a business that allows you time freedom and location freedom, right? So truly, like if you're working, that's because you want to work, not because you have to work. You know? That option.
Agreed. That's the best feeling. And, you know, I hope to see more people get there, because right now it's definitely the opposite.
Yeah, right now, I mean, a lot of people go back into business and they say it's the game, you know, love the game. And if that's truly the case, I understand. But I feel like a lot of people they're doing it for the ego too. Like, you know, oh, I want to make more than this guy, or like, you know.
Yeah.
So like, I think that's the wrong reason I'm doing it. For most people, I feel like, because there's studies out there, right? Like, you know, there's this book called Your Money or Your Life. And it shows that apparently in the studies that they've done, it's like after you make more than 100K a year, you're not necessarily happier, right? So I think the key is to have, like for most people, I think the goal should be to make like 100K a year or whatever, you know, that covers your living expenses in a semi-passive way. So you're just working a couple hours a day or however much you want to work, and you just enjoy life. just
Agreed.
like a way more peaceful way of living.
Yeah, there's a certain point, whether it's 100K, 250, it's different for everyone,
Right.
where the money starts to lose that value almost,
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
what else are you going to buy? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you got the car, you got the house, kids are taken care of.
Yep.
You know, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, and if you stop chasing those things that you see on social media, like, luxury cars, houses, watches, those kind of things, like, you realize you don't need much to live a good life. Like, especially in Southeast Asia, it's so cheap, right? So obviously, like, I can pay more now, and I can afford more living in the U.S. But for me, I just love Southeast Asia, especially Chiang Mai.
Right.
Like, I've met so many 7-8 figures entrepreneurs in Chiang Mai. Even though, like, they can live anywhere they want, they're not there because of the cost of living. The cost of living is really low, but it's really because of the quality of life that you get there that they choose to stay there.
Wow.
So yeah, I kind of agree with that. Like, I love Chiang Mai.
I didn't know that. So the housing's affordable, all that.
Yeah, it's super cheap, super affordable. It has all the benefits of living in Southeast Asia and living in Thailand, but just, it's not just that, right? You're not sacrificing the quality of life, because you never want to do that, right?
Right.
You never want to live somewhere just because it's cheap, but you don't like living there.
Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Everyone does that.
I don't know why people don't like Puerto Rico. I've never been there.
Yeah.
I assume it's kind of similar to Hawaii, or that's what I thought so. But yeah, you just hear that constantly, like, people go to Puerto Rico and they don't necessarily like it, but it's more so for tax benefits. But yeah, in Chiang Mai, I don't see that. Like, people are actually successful living there, but they just enjoy it.
Yeah. The Puerto Rico thing, I mean, there's ways to save on taxes living in the U.S. where you don't even need to move there, honestly, if you knew about it. So that to me never made sense, to sacrifice happiness for that.
For sure. Yeah. How does that work?
We'll talk off camera.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
But dude, it's been fun. Anything you want to close off with or promote before we wrap up?
No, I mean, if people want to learn about Amazon KDP or learn about my journey of, like, just traveling around, and sometimes I do, like, reports on YouTube, like, what I learned from living in this country, or, like, which country I like the most in Southeast Asia, or, like, wherever I go. So if you want to follow me on that, just look me up on YouTube. Sean Dollwet is my name, or Instagram would be Sean Dollwet 13. But besides that, I mean, it's been nice talking to you. It's fun, and
yeah, it's been fun, man, diving into your world. Thanks for coming on, and thanks for watching, guys. As always, we will see you tomorrow.